Okay, so we're getting ready to do some body work, and this is just going to be a how-to video on body work. And these are some of the tools that we're going to be needing. Now this should be everything that we need, but it may not. There's a couple of different tables here. Now ultimately we're going to need a primer gun and primer and stuff, and we hadn't added that to the tables yet, but we will. A spreader. You guys forgive me, I'm shooting with one hand and trying to show this stuff to you with another. Hardener and body filler. Air blower, grinder. A couple of different types of body hammers. Sanding block, DA sander, and then a longboard type sander. We may or may not use this on this dent that we're going to show you guys, but we got it out here just in case. You got 180 grit sandpaper and 80 grit sandpaper. Now we'll probably use some 320 with this as well, but we're out of sandpaper and I got to pick up some more tomorrow. But that's the basics of what we're going to need to get started on this. Now I'm going to show you the truck that we're going to be working on. It's right here, and I'm only going to show you taking out one dent, though there's several in here that we're going to take out, but we're going to focus on this one right here in the hood, just to do a how-to video, nothing else. There's several more, and I'll be taking out all of these dents as I go, but for the sake of the how-to video, we're just not going to show all of them. It takes too much time. We've got a couple of little places, well, one right here on this fender as well, and you can't really even see it, but I know it's there. But anyway, we're going to take all those out over the next couple of days and get this truck ready to paint the front end. It got hit in the front end, and we put some new parts on it, got everything straightened out, and got it pretty much ready for the body work right now. So having said that, I'm going to go ahead and move to the next stage, which will be taking the truck up there to the shop and starting the process of doing that body work, and we'll video all that as we go. As I said, we're not going to video every dent. It just takes too long, makes the videos too long, but we are going to show you one all the way through the process so that you can get an idea of what we're doing and how we do it. Okay, so what we want to show you guys, if we can at all, is the depth of this dent. And I'm not sure you're going to be able to see it, but if we can get the right angle on that, you may be able to see the clearance in under there. Really can't very good, but anyway, there's about a 1/16 of an inch, maybe close to an 1/8 on this dent that we got to bring out. And we're going to start doing that with this hammer right here. And I'm going to try to film this with one hand and work with another, so this is going to be tricky. We have a ridge right here that we're looking at, and we're going to start slightly tapping that until we see that dent begin to come out. The reason we're doing that is we don't want to use any more body filler in here than we have to. And if you take a little time at the front end, taking as much of that dent out as you can, then you'll use a lot less body filler. And so here we go. Wow, that's kind of weird, but that took almost all of that dent out of there just with a little bit of tapping that we did. So right now I'm going to turn this off for a few minutes and just finish the little bit of tapping there, and then we'll go to the next stage. Okay, I didn't show this on video, but we did take a couple layers of tape that grill shell so that if we slip with the grinder we won't tear it up. The general idea usually would be to pull that off, but I'm leaving it on there for a couple of reasons. One of them being that I want to make sure all these parts stay fitted up as we work on it. So what we're going to do next, if I can show it here, we're going to mark the perimeter of that dent with the magic marker. Now, when you see that, you're going to think, wow, that dent wasn't that big. Well, that's the thing about dents. If you really look at them, a lot of times they'll go a lot further back than you think. So the next thing will be we're going to grind that at least to where we think it needs it. Now, that perimeter marker is bigger than the dent itself, but the dent's pretty close to that size. So we'll start grinding. We'll show you guys that as we go. Now, again, remind you that we're doing this one-handed, so it's a little bit difficult. Okay. All right, here we go, guys. We're going to try to do as best we can. Okay, what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to stop videoing for a few minutes because I really need to fine tune this, and you're just not going to be able to do it with one hand. But just so you guys know, what we're using here is a 36 grit grinding pad on just a small grinder now. Okay, that's our dent that we're working on, and it's ready to go to the next stage. But I'm going to just walk you around, show you some other things that we're doing, just for the sake of learning. Now, this is a brand new fender. As you can see, I'm taking out a dent on this brand new fender. Most people would say, well, why don't you just send it back? Well, here's the reason I don't just send it back. Most of the time, if you send them back, you get another one and it's got a dent, maybe not as bad or maybe worse. You might get lucky and it not have a dent at all. But the frustration of sending it back and doing all that, and then frustrating the guy that you bought it from, it's just not worth it. I just go ahead and take the dent out. I've done this a long time, and my experience is just take the dent out, bite the bullet on it, and be done with it. Okay, there's one dent, two dents, three dents, 4, 5, and 6. And we're not going to film all the process and everything on every dent, but we probably will show you the things as we go. We're going to focus again on this one dent and let you see the process on it. So with that said, I'm going to go to the next stage, guys. All right, guys, here we go one-handed again. We're going to try this, see how it comes out. Now, what we're using now is 80 grit on the DA sander, and I'll explain to you in a minute why we're doing that, but I'm going to do a little sanding first. I want to stop here just a few seconds. You see that harsh grit on the edges of that? What we're doing is we're trying to feather that down to where the body filler will fill in a lot better and have a lot less shrinkage. So here we go. Well, it's apparent that I'm gonna need 2 hands to do this. So what I'm gonna do is stop videoing just for a few minutes. I'm gonna feather that out and then I'll show it to you when I'm done, okay? All right. Okay, I wanna go ahead and show you guys what we've done so far. We started out grinding that with 40 grit or 36 grit, and we wanted to feather all that rough 36 grit scratches out of there. So as you can see, we feathered that back with 80 grit on a DA sander. Now what that does, it takes a little of the aggressive profile off of it, which means you'll get a lot less shrinkage. And we're not done, we're going to do a little more on there. But when you put your body filler on there, what happens is that feathers in a whole lot easier and a whole lot better, and it shows, well, usually 0 shrinkage. So that's the reason for feathering that back like we did. So I'm going to go ahead and feather all the rest of them back, and then we'll start videoing again after that. Okay, I'm just going to show you guys these other dents that I feathered out, just so you can kind of see what we're doing. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now, I think, is stop videoing for a few minutes, Looking pretty rainy out here, and I've got to clean my shop out enough to get this truck in there, so I think I'm going to do that right now. Okay, we'll get started again here in a few. All right, guys, we're going to do something a little bit different right now. We went ahead and set our camera up where we didn't have to hold it. I hope that this is going to work. But anyway, holding it with one hand and sanding just wasn't working very good. So we're going to shift gears here a little bit, and we're going to try it this way, see how it works. Okay, getting on to the body work again. What we're going to do is we got 180 grit sandpaper on this DA sander, and we're going to sand that, probably 8-10 inches, something like that. The reason we're going to do that is I want to put primer on this here in a little bit, and so I'm going to go ahead and pre-prep the metal to receive the primer, and we're doing that before we do the filler work, but that's just the way that I like to do it. I seem to have better luck of getting everything to feather in. So I'll just show you guys real quick how this works, and then we'll shift gears again and go to the next stage. Okay guys, I'm going to shut you off for right now. So what we're going to do right now is final wash this and clean it up. I like to do that at this stage. Now some people do it earlier, some people do it later, but this is the stage I like to do it at. Cleans all the grease and oils and everything off here before I start laying the body fillers and stuff. And so we're gonna do that. You just wipe the stuff on with a dampened rag with the final wash, and just wipe it on there and then wipe it back off. You don't want to let this stuff dry on there, because if you do, it causes contamination in the process. So you want to try to keep all that out if you can. Just keep everything clean. You can see I'm using that dry rag quite a bit just to get that thing dried off and not let it evaporate on there. So we're about that point. All right, guys, that's the next stage in it. Here we go. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and mix us up some body filler here and go ahead and put it on, show you guys how we're doing that. Now, you don't want to stir this body filler, you want to mix it just kind of like I'm doing right now, just press it out. It presses all the bubbles and everything out of it, so it makes it a whole lot better. When you spread it, you're going to have a lot of air pockets in it. Certainly don't want that, so I'm going to quit talking until I get this stuff ready to put on. Okay, we're ready. Let's try it. Now here's the deal, guys. The smoother it goes on, the less sanding you have to do. Just bought a new spreader, and sadly it's not spreading very good. It's got something wrong with it. Well, it was leaving a groove, but I turned it over and it looks like it might solve that problem. We'll take that in and get it. Okay guys, I said the smoother you get put it on, the better off you are. Okay, we're going to let that dry for just a little while. We're going to try to catch it before it gets too dry. We'll let it dry for a little while and then we'll come back and start sanding it. Okay guys, we're getting ready for the next stage of it. Now, I went and got a microphone pinned on my shirt here because the sound hasn't been picking up very good, so we're going to see if we can make this work a little better. But anyway, what I got here right now is I got 80 grit on this DA sander. This is a used piece. I don't like to use a new one because what we're going to do is we're just going to knock this sticky top off of this, and as a general rule, it'll run your sandpaper pretty fast. It'll gum it up. So we don't use brand new pieces unless we have to. But we're going to use this used one right now, knock this top off and get it ready to block sand. Okay, we're going to stop right there just a few minutes and blow this off. Now, you have to kind of be careful when you're sanding something like this with a DA because you can take it down too much. I've been doing this for a long time, so I kind of know how far I can go and get away with it. But we've got this down pretty good shape, and we actually caught the material at the right drying spot, so it cut really fast and really good. So what we're going to do now, I think we're just going to take a block with 80 on it, and we're going to block it down and see how it comes out. So we'll start that process just here in a few minutes. Okay, what we have here is a longboard sanding block. It's got 80 on it, and we're going to go ahead and work it down to a certain point with this, and then we'll go to the next stage. So here we go. Another thing, you'll see me blowing this sandpaper off. It just makes sandpaper last a lot longer and cut a lot quicker. So what we have here now is, this is pretty flat. It looks pretty good. But we're going to put another type of filler on the top of it. And I'll show you guys that here in a few minutes, just to make sure that it's good and flat and all the pinholes and everything is out of it. So that's going to be our next step, guys. So hang on, we'll get right back with you. Okay, here we go again. We're going to put the glazing putty on it. That's just a smoother type of body filler that makes the repair a lot more level, takes out all the pinholes in the Bondo or the body filler, and makes it sand really flat and fast. Now you can do this without this glazing compound, but this just makes it a lot better, a lot easier, and makes a lot better job out of it. So here we go. And the ideal is this right here, guys. The smoother you put this on, the better it sands. Okay, I'm gonna quit it right there. It's on there pretty smooth. Okay, we'll let this dry just, probably 4 or 5 minutes. This stuff dries pretty fast. Then we'll block it one more time with the 80 grit, and then we'll move on to the next stage. Okay, here we go again, guys. We're gonna go ahead and block sand this one more time with the glazing compound on it. I'm gonna use 80 for a few minutes, but not long. We're gonna switch gears and go to 180. We're keeping this blown off and clean so that we can see it real good. We're down to the fine tuning of taking this particular dent out. And so we got to keep it where we can see what we're doing. There's a pretty fine line between doing this right and over sanding it. So I'm being really careful here. I'm trying to focus on the body work itself, but also making a video. So it's a little bit difficult for me. So we're just going to keep on going. All right, guys, we're pretty doggone close there. I'm going to stop for just a few minutes and go get some 180 on a block. And we're going to start cutting it with 180 and smoothing it out. So just bear with me. Okay, we went and got a different block here and got 180 on it. But I like this block because it kind of contours with this hood. And so I'm going to use it. So I'm going to quit talking and get working. All right, that right there should do it. It seems to be level, clean. So we're going to call that good right there. Now we may run a little more 180 around here where the block has left some fairly coarse scratches. But other than that, we're in pretty good shape right here. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do is take this 180 on this DA sander, and we're just going to feather these deeper scratches out around here. You could get by with just priming them in and filling them in, but I like to get them just a little bit cleaner. So we're going to do that. You don't want to get up on your filler with this DA sander because if you do, you're going to make it wavy and mess it up. So just do the feathered edges, all you want to do. So I'm probably doing this a little better than it necessarily has to be, but I don't know. I just like doing that. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. Okay, gentlemen, we're at the stage to put the primer on. And so I'm just going to show you how we do that as best we can. I'm going to try to get to one side where you can see this primer going on. So just get ready. Okay, I shut that fan off so you could hear me a little bit better. Now, the way we're going to do this primer is we're going to start here and we're going to just do a nice coat and just overlap it about 50%. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to let that dry for a while, and I'm going to go ahead and spray these other spots, but I'm going to turn the camera off for now. And then we'll come back and we're going to put another coat like that on there. All right, we're going to go ahead and put the second coat on here. Now, fellas, I usually wear a mask. I'm just not wearing one today because you can't hear me if I do. But when you do this, wear a mask and just be safe, okay? So here we go again. Guys, that's going on really smooth, so I'm pretty happy with that. So we're going to go ahead and stop the videoing right now, and I'm going to finish my priming up, and then we're going to let it dry overnight, and we're going to put some guide coat stuff on it, And then we're going to sand it, block it, make sure that everything's straight as we want it, and then we'll prime it one more time, and then it'll be ready to sand and paint. All right, we're ready for the guide coat, and I just use Spray Bomb Black. You can use powdered guide coat, spray on guide coat, but I find this cheap Walmart paint to really work well. I'm just going to kind of sprinkle it on there. What everybody does, but it's what I do, and I've had good success with it for many years, so that's what we're going to do. Well, I'm going to go ahead and shut the video camera off just for a few minutes and go ahead and guide coat the rest of this, and we're going to let this dry to 24 hours or somewhere. Tomorrow we'll come back and we'll work on the primer. Should be cured, and then we'll block it out. If there's any low places, we'll fix them. If there's not, then we'll prime it one more time and let it dry 24 more hours, and it's ready to sand for paint. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to block this out, see if there's any low places. That guide coat will let us see the low places as we block it out, and if we have to do any more filler work, we will. Shouldn't have to, but we'll see. Using 180 grit on a longboard makes us a good level surface, so I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we'll video a little of this, but we're not going to video it all, but we'll show you how we start. Blow that off and get that sandpaper ready to go. Your sandpaper's going to clog up, so you have to blow it out pretty regularly. Okay, as I said, we're not going to video this whole process. You get the idea. As soon as we get it blocked down, we'll show you guys where we're at that point, and start from there. Okay. Okay, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to get you guys a little closer where you could see a few things. I don't know if you can see those scratches or not. There are some really fine scratches right in that area that I want to take out. And that's a lot of the reason we put the guide coat on there, so we can see those things. It's going to be kind of hard to see it with this video, but we'll do the best we can. But anyway, we got that blocked out and blown off, cleaned up, and looked at it. It looks really good, better than I expected. But we'll go ahead and take out those fine scratches and put 2 more coats of primer on it, and then it'll be ready to sand for its last time and get paint. Okay, we're going to stop right there. We'll start again here just in a little bit. Okay, this is going to be the last 2 coats of primer on this right here, and it'll be ready to sand and paint. Just remember, over lasts about halfway. Just for educational purposes, I did reduce that primer down quite a bit that time because I wanted it to spray on really smooth. So that's something that you might consider, because smoother it sprays on there, the easier it is to sand. Okay, we're going to let that dry for a bit, and then we're going to do 1 more coat. Okay, 1 last coat of primer, and we're going to wrap this one up, guys. Okay, fellas, that's it. We're going to call it good on this. Of course, I'll prime the rest of the stuff I've got to do, but just on this 1 dent. Bodywork's finished. We'll sand it 1 more time for paint, and then we're going to start putting paint on this guy. All right. All right, guys, here's the end product of that truck that we've been doing the body work on. It came out really well. and we're going to be calling the customer here in a few hours and let him know that his truck's ready to go home. So just wanted you guys to see the finished product and what it looks like. We've been doing this for 50 years, so been doing it a long time. All right, guys, thanks for watching.